School professionals often want to know how they can best explain anxiety and OCD to children and students and their parents. So the fact is that anxiety is a very normal human emotion. So one way to go about it is to sort of explain that everyone has anxiety. And anxiety is very typical and common in school-age children. For instance, they may be anxious about a test. They may be worried about giving a presentation at school. They may be worried about what their work looks like, about making friends, getting to school on time, the teacher yelling at them. So you see, there's so many reasons kids can be anxious. And all of those are normal. But the question is their anxiety or their worry about it reasonable to the situation, or is it excessive? Is it too much? And so that's a way you can present it to children and their families, that, you know, while most kids worry, sometimes we worry too much. And a good way to tell if you're worrying too much about something is to think about your feelings on a thermometer that goes from 1 to 10. And let's say it's pretty okay to be like a 3 on the thermometer for a test that's coming up. But if you're a 9 or a 10 on the thermometer, that means you're way too anxious, and nobody else around you is that anxious or that worried. And that's when you know that you're worrying too much or you have too much anxiety. And when kids worry too much, or when you worry too much, rather than it being helpful, it's kind of getting in your way. It's hurting you. It's not letting you get your work done. And you're so worried about the test or so worried about getting something right that you actually can't get it done, and you're so upset about it. And that's when you know you're worrying too much. And when kids worry too much, or when you worry too much, it's as if your mind is playing tricks on you. It's playing worry tricks, or it's giving you false alarms. It's telling you that something is way too scary or way too dangerous when it really isn't. It may be a little bit scary, a little bit, you know, nerve-wracking, but not as much as your worry tells you. And that's called a false alarm or a worry trick. And that's the best way to understand it when you have anxiety or OCD. And anxiety can take many forms, like you can be worried about social things and friendships, about doing well on a test, about being away from your parents, about being perfect at what you do. And OCD kind of worries are more, you know, sort of a little bit different. They just come out of the blue. You might think, I have to get everything lined up just right, or I have to make sure there's no germs on my hands, or everything has to be perfect, or something bad will happen. So those are good ways to understand what anxiety and OCD are.